start this new online workshop from Outlook Money. Welcome to the show, Retirement Planning, Strategize and Secure, an interactive video workshop series presented by Outlook Money. This series basically aims to arm you with all the information that you need for effective retirement planning. These workshops will be conducted by experts from various fields that can affect your retirement planning, like financial planning, aging and personal issues, health and senior living, work after retirement, among others. Today, we will delve into active aging or employment avenues post-retirement. I'm very happy to welcome Deval Delivala, co-founder and CEO India of GetSetUp, an active aging platform that aims to empower seniors. Deval will talk about how you can convert your passion into a profession post-retirement and even monetize it. But before I hand over the screen to Deval and start talking about this very interesting topic that you all must be waiting for, I have a poll for you. So let me start with this first poll on your screens. So as you poll for this, I'll give you 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, I'll close the poll and kind of tell you the results. So I think that is enough time. And can we display the results on the screen now? Okay, so 79% are saying yes, and only 21% are saying no. So it's a lot of people saying that they are ready to work after retirement, and that's a very sane choice, because that's a smart choice, because sitting without work suddenly may not be as rosy as it sounds even post retirement. In fact, we have seen through our experience that often seniors are found looking for a purpose or a sense of fulfillment in their golden years. In fact, our August Outlook Money issue talks about that precisely, and it'll help you untangle the opportunities and challenges along with some inspiring stories of seniors. But today, Deval will have much more, that and much more to present to you. So I'll not take too much of your time. So back to Deval. Do come up with questions in between, and I'll present it to Deval, and we'll try to solve it together. But most of the questions I'll be able to take only after the presentation is over. So welcome, Deval, over to you.
Thanks, Nidhi, and thanks Outlook for hosting this series of workshops and having me and GetSetUp today. I'm very excited to share, part of this workshop and also like what we've been sort of doing for the last few years. Like Nidhi rightly said, seniors are always faced with this problem around retirement. And not just seniors, right? It starts when you start thinking about retirement. What are you going to do? And especially in today's day and age when tech is changing so quickly, your skills become redundant really fast. So hopefully, through this workshop, we'll kind of walk through some of the things that you can do, assess your existing skills and find new applications for your existing skills. I'll just share my screen. So I want to start with a little bit of background and why this matters. And it's great that sort of Outlook has taken this, mantle of thinking about post-retirement, right? We've always thought of India as a young country, and that's still the conversation today. But the reality is that 20% of our audience in India, or the population in India, is going to be over 55 in the next 10 years. And we are not ready for it. Even today, India actually has 130 million older adults. Just by sheer volume, right? We have a lot of older adults in India, and it's the fastest growing cohort. So as you think of people who are going to turn 50 and 55, there's a large group of people that will come into this cohort and not really having a job or social security. Not all of them do, especially if they come from the private sector. How will it work for them, right? The other thing that we battle, and I'm sure Outlook covers this a lot, but is sort of rising cost of living, inflation, In India, healthcare costs are out of pocket, right? So when you think about retirement, we all in our 20s think retirement is this great time where you're going to sit on a beach and chill. But the reality is very different, right? It gets expensive and medical costs also rise. So you need some source of income to get that financial independence as well. Improve longevity, in India, as you see now today with medicine and things like that. Earlier, I think on average, our grandparents would not sort of, live till 90 and 100. But today with medicine, we all expected to live much longer, right? We still retire at 55, 56 in India, which is very young if you take some of the Western countries into consideration. But we're living another 3 or 4 decades, if things are good. And what do you do with your time? And, we'll discuss some of that as we go along. A lot of the studies in India actually show, so there's this notion that older adults, or as you age, you're living with family, you're living with your children and grandchildren, but that's increasingly not true. If you're in your 40s today, the chances are that you're going to be probably living alone or with a spouse as you age. Even today, 7 out of 10 Indians in that age bracket actually are living by themselves. And so you need some sort of, independence as you go about your day. There's a lot of relocation that happens as well in the active aging community, which is, above 55. So you could be working in one town and you move your location to another town. You may downsize your home. You may just move because you don't want to live in a crowded city. So how do you find sort of, a new purpose in a new location? Missing social connectedness, and I'll talk a little bit more about sort of the mental health benefits of staying active. But when you go to work every day, it's a whole new circle of people that you meet every day, right? That doesn't happen post-retirement, and it's very important as you go. Like Nidhi mentioned, there's a loss of purpose and sense of routine. I get this a lot from my parents and grandparents, where they feel sort of, they feel they're not relevant anymore, right? Because they're not, nobody's reaching out to them to sort of make decisions on a day-to-day basis. And that can kind of feel like there's a loss of sense of purpose. And obviously companies in India always focused on hiring younger and younger people because India is a young country and we have to employ them as well. And so there are a lot of sectors, both public and private, that, have a cutoff, unfortunately, and I think that will change, but have a cutoff age at which they don't hire. So it's kind of imperative for you to figure out what you should do because you have that skill set. And at GetSetUp, we obviously believe that every 55-year-old or 50-year-old has 50 years of wisdom that can be applied to something new. The tools may be different, but the core skill set is there. And that's what I'm going to sort of talk to you about today.
Yeah, so before Deval gets to the next section, which is very, very relevant for you, I have another related poll to what Deval just said, because, nuclear families are shrinking in India as they are abroad. It's coming to India as well. Look around you, how many families are living together. Children are, changing cities. Parents want to stay in the same city because they have they have a circle there and all of that. So I have a question related to that, which is, do you expect to live alone, maybe along with your spouse, and I'm calling that alone, post-retirement? So yes and no, and can we have the poll on the screen so that people can vote? And again, I'll give you 30 seconds to a minute to kind of poll to this question. And in the meanwhile, guys, I would really love if you send your messages on the chat on or your feedback on how it's going and what else do you want, etc. We love to have your feedback. So here's the poll on your screens, and you can answer in yes and no. Very simple question. Do you really think that you live alone or with your family, children, extended family, or whoever you live with post-retirement? And now I believe it's time for the results. People would have clicked yes or no as per their choice, as per their preferences. Can we have the results now? So yeah, so 71% are saying yes and only 29% are saying no. So yeah, so there are a lot of people who still think that, they may be living with their family, but a lot of people are thinking that they will live alone, and people are actually exploring senior living options, other options, options to live independently, provide for themselves in their old age. And now Deval will go on with the next section, which will throw some light on this aging cohort?
Thanks, Nidhi. And also, just to add to that, right? I think one of the things, and as I go through the presentation, I've come up with, real examples. So all the pictures in this deck are not models. They're actually people like you and me who are 55 and above, who've actually cracked sort of what to do in their second life or post-retirement. So I'm going to share how they are sort of seeking active and independent living after 55 and finding means to do that.
Lovely, lovely. I'm sure our audience would love those real life examples.
So now one sort of just, as I start off, so Spandana is a great example. She's been sort of a homemaker pretty much her whole life. And she has always been passionate about cooking. And she wanted to sort of get into acting in some way. And so now she's actually auditioned and is actually sort of finding her purpose through publishing a cookbook and also, pursuing sort of modeling slash acting after 55. I'm going to play this video, which is an example of someone who's been in a very traditional sort of media role all her life, and just a little snippet of what she's doing now. I'm just going to play this real quick.
Hello, I'm Geeta Chatterjee and I'm from Mumbai. Originally, I'm from Calcutta, but I've been in Bombay for many, many, many years now. I was a news reporter from Doordarshan, and I've been traveling all over news reporting. Then, during the COVID times, I changed my profession and I became a home baker. Baking was always my passion. So now I have a home bakery and I take orders. I bake on orders.
So Geeta it's a really long video, but I just want to share a snippet because again, she's an example of someone you never think that someone who's worked, on television as a news anchor is going to set up her own home baking business. But she kind of converted a passion for baking into a home business. And through one of the programs that we ran at GetSetUp, she actually accelerated that. So we taught how to use, Instagram and other things to actually create a brand around what she's doing. And you can actually order her stuff on her baked goods on Swiggy now. So I'll just take 10 seconds to talk about GetSetUp and what we do, and then sort of why it's relevant to this conversation. So we started GetSetUp with the notion that our parents are very different from our grandparents, right? A 55 or a 70-year-old today is aging very differently than a 70-year-old 15, 20 years ago for all the reasons that I mentioned. But they're more active, they're more world traveled, they have a lot in savings. Remember, this is the first generation that has grown up in a post-liberalized India, and they have savings. They have they have world experience. They have used the phone, like the cell phone, for the last 10 years. And so it's a very different population than, let's say, a 70-year-old 10, 15 years ago. And the idea is, can we offer something that makes active aging a real part of their day-to-day life, right? So at GetSetUp, we actually bring, it's a peer-to-peer community where we bring people together to learn different things that can help them convert sort of their passions, either continue keeping them as passions, or if they want to convert it into a business, or they want to just do something on a daily basis to spend their time in a very active way. We have over 4,500 classes where we do everything from cooking to teaching you how to set up, accounting software. It pretty much covers everything. But that's why I'm here and why we're talking about GetSetUp, why we're talking about monetizing your passion. So one of the things that, you might wonder and ask, right? Like, hey, I've worked for 30, 40 years. I'm 50 years old today. Why should I work again? Like, I just want to, like I said, relax on a beach, right? Actually, there are a lot of like health benefits of continuing to work. And I don't mean work in a traditional sense. I don't mean going to an office 9 to 5 and clocking those hours or doing a very traditional job. It could be that that's what you want. There are presidents who run countries till they're 80 years old. But I think the reason is that, all studies point towards it improves social determinants of health, right? I don't know if you all recently saw, there was this Netflix documentary on sort of blue zones, and it talks a little bit about this. But your social determinants of health are basically, the more physically active you are, the more mentally active you are, the lower the chances of mental health diseases sort of piling on early in your life. And we hear this in India a lot more now, right? You'll see the onset of early onset of sort of Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that. And that's largely, you'll always hear these sort of anecdotal stories where, something after retirement, father sitting at home and suddenly, sort of that sets in because you're not being mentally challenged and physically challenged. Obviously, there are other medical, there's medical history there as well. But one of the components of that is to kind of give you something to do every day. The second thing is, like I said, it gives you a sense of purpose and relevance. We don't feel it today, but when you wake up in the morning and you're making 5 decisions at work every day, that gives you a sense of relevance and that kind of goes away. Financial independence, which already discussed, and just sometimes discretionary income to pursue your hobbies, right? Like you might have money that you saved through all the retirement programs that you've tucked away, but you might want to travel, you might want to spend money on things that you don't want to dig into your savings. And so this extra discretionary income actually helps you enjoy whatever it is that you want to do, take a trip with your friends or travel the world as you sort of cross that 55. Allows you to pursue a hobby or a passion. Like I said, every example that I will discuss now, a lot of them have converted their passions and hobbies into something meaningful, and it allows them to do that. It also allows you to make new friends, right? One of the things I always say, even for me, right? I love going to work because I meet people who are way smarter than me, who are, I learn something new every day, right? And so I think when you actually put yourself out there and you build something and you build a new network, it actually allows for that. Giving back to society, we all sort of grow up thinking we'll volunteer someday, we'll teach in a school and things. That's another great way to kind of feel good about yourself. If you want to sign up, it doesn't have to be a monetary thing that you do. It could just be volunteering your time and also like matching your existing sort of skill set to new opportunities. I want to share some examples of, these are real people. These are not models. These are people who have actually done this. So, Anita is a great example of someone on the left. She's actually worked in HR for sort of 20-25 years in a large MNC. And then she sort of, she's very passionate about helping others. She's very passionate about teaching and connecting with others. So she actually works with us as like a full-time employee right now. This is her second career. But she also like teaches, she's very good at English. And so on weekends, she actually teaches kids in like Korea and Japan and France how to speak English. And she makes money on the hour because she does that. It's what you call gig work. So you get paid on an hourly basis. Think of it like a online tuition model, right? And I'll share some websites where you can do that. But it's a great way because she now has a network in any country and she loves traveling. So when she goes to Spain, she gets to hang out with students that she's teaching online. And then on GetSetUp, she gets to sort of travel because we have a travel program that she runs. Again, she's converted her passion into something that is a job, but it's something that she loves doing. In the middle, there's Anju. Again, real life example. She was a corporate banker, like I'm sure many of you on this call are working at a multinational bank. And she really got into like fitness during COVID, and she started teaching fitness classes where she does dumbbell exercises and things like that. She taught herself how to go online, set up a camera, and actually teach others and inspire others in her peer network. She's also very passionate about giving back and runs an NGO in Mumbai, where she spends a lot of time volunteering that helps people make informed decisions about their health. So it's like a health library that she runs. And then on the right is Ajay, again, same finance, worked in corporate finance for 40 years, but is so good at technology and is so good at like finance that he actually helps other older adults figure out like how they should think about investments or how they should think about credit cards and things like that. So it doesn't have to be that you have you have to have a thing that you can teach. It could be something from your existing background that you can sort of convert into something and just apply it differently as sort of your second career. Some of the steps to actually finding this, and I'm going to go about this in a I'll pick one example, but from each of these columns so that it makes sense. Let's say, for example, first you need to figure out like the what do you want to do next, right? What's your passion? So let's say, like I said, you've worked in sort of a corporate career, but you're really passionate about English as a language. And you've read all the possible books in the world and you're always talking about books or you're talking about the English language, right? One option could, so that could be a skill set, and we'll walk through how you can assess your skills. But that's something that is a skills assessment, and it's also something that you're passionate about. Well, let's say your English is very good, right? So the step two of that would be, how can I use this skill to actually find applications for it, right? So one could be finding some online platform where you can teach, and I'll share some examples as we go along. One could be, can you sort of reach out to an existing audience amongst your friends or around your neighborhood and things like that, and teach some kids English, right? So become like a tuition teacher. Or it could just be that you volunteer at an NGO, right? So that's like the how. And then the where could be, where can you apply these skills, right? So like I said, you can apply these skills in multiple ways. Today, if you become an editor online, where you're editing somebody else's work, you can get paid on an hourly basis, right? You'll see all these work from home ads. They're actually true, not the ones that you see in Mumbai locals, but most of the platforms are actually true. And you can actually go out and find these opportunities where, you can convert that one skill that you have as a language into something that is actually has a far-reaching sort of impact. Another example I want to give is, Navneeta, whose photo is on the slide. Again, she's 75. I think now she's probably 77. She used to work at Bank of Baroda for till retirement, right? So till she was 55. But she was always very passionate about Bharatnatyam. And so she actually learned Bharatnatyam in her 50s before she retired. And now she teaches on GetSetUp. She teaches dance classes. She also does private tuitions. She's also very passionate about teaching children. So she actually reaches out to schools and she teaches, Bharatnatyam in schools. So if you think of like, it doesn't have to be like your banking career. It can be something that you've always wanted to do. Start doing that already when you're about to retire, and then find applications for it. Doesn't have to be something that you have to monetize. It could just be something that you do even as a charitable thing, if money is not sort of important at that point in time. Here's another example of how sort of, you can go about this, and I'll give you in a step-by-step, I've kind of broken it down so that these slides will be available to you when you watch the video later on YouTube, so you don't have to take notes right now. But like I said, I think step one is to just discover your skill and do that sort of discovery process. Step two is, what other skills do you have, right? So it could be that you worked in banking, but you're a great creative writer. It could be that you worked in banking, but you're also very good at just doing, as an example, just doing financial planning, right? You've been doing that for your business your whole life, and that's something you're good at. It could be that you're very good at photography or blogging and things like that, right? So figure what are your core skills from your past work, and then figure what are your other sort of skills and interests that you have, and then start looking for jobs that connect those two things, right? Like a great example of this is, there's actually a service in India where you can sort of teach, a language to a child, right? Like a tuition, like a paid thing. You can teach a language to an NRI kid who's living outside India and get actually paid in dollars per hour. So you can teach Sanskrit, you can teach Gujarati, you can teach Hindi, Marathi, right? Because there's a large NRI population that wants their kids to learn a second language. And unfortunately, that is kind of lost as our generations are going forward. And so let's say that's something that you find where you're really passionate about Hindi as a language and you're very good at it. You can actually find that skill online. There might be a gap where, let's say, you've never taught online. So you don't know how to teach on Zoom. You don't know how to set up your account and things like that. And that's where services like GetSetUp, others, and maybe a family member or somebody who's younger can actually help you figure out that setup process. You can also look for upskilling opportunities, right? Like I said, learning how to do things on video today. This webinar, for example, is on Zoom. COVID has obviously changed the world where all of us are on Zoom now. But in a world where maybe you didn't know how to use Zoom, just, you can actually learn anything today. And so broaden your skill set, right? It could be even knowing how to take really good notes when you prepare as a teacher for that class. could be a skill set which you need, like you need to know how to use Microsoft Word as an example, or you need to use Gmail as an example. So even basic tools like that can be a really good upskilling opportunity. And then the standard process of applying for those jobs. The question that we get a lot is like, where do I find jobs, right? Because now jobs are not sort of to be found the same way it was 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago. So, it's a lot of finding jobs today is on, or gigs as you call it, is on different platforms, which I'll sort of talk in a bit. Another example I wanted to give is somebody on our platform, who's Binda, who's worked in HR all her life. But is a great active older adult. She's certified yoga instructor. She teaches yoga. She also got her counseling certificate because she's been an HR professional. She's a very good people person. So she has an NLP certificate and actually does mental health counseling, which she started during COVID, and it's, sort of taken off. So those are things that you can actually do where you don't have to necessarily have HR skills that help you find your next job, maybe. But because in HR you have people skills and soft skills, you use that to kind of find something new. One of the things that you'll hear a lot these days is sort of the creator economy. You will see these TikTokers, or in India, there are YouTubers, you see influencers, you see a lot of that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, an influencer is somebody who's just a creator, right? They've taken something that they're very passionate about. They've found a tool where they can distribute that, and then they keep putting stuff out there to find an audience. Anyone can do that. Obviously, it's not easy. It's not easy to find 1 million followers and things like that. But you don't need to find followers, but you can use the same tools to actually build out a gig or a business that you really want to do. So let's take an example, right? Like I'll take the baking example. Let's say you're a home chef, and or and you've baking is your passion, and you take, every time you bake something, everybody's giving you compliments on how well or how tasty that food is, right? It's very easy to go on Instagram and create an account, right? So you could call it something and sugar, and you can create an Instagram account very quickly. Again, learn, if you don't know how to use Instagram, learn that as a skill, right? Now the second question comes, like, how do I sort of find somebody to actually, how do I find a platform to actually sell these baked goods, right? You could look at so many tools out there. So I'll give you an example. On Swiggy, you can actually set up as a home chef, you can actually set up, if you have a license, you can actually set up your shop, right? So Swiggy, Zomato, any of these delivery services, you upload nice pictures and you can put up your brand there. And then use that as a tool for distribution. Then how do you let people know about the fact that you started a baked good business, right? And that's where distribution comes in. And you can think about tools like WhatsApp. So, WhatsApp, everybody is part of so many WhatsApp groups. We're all part of so many alumni groups, so many workplace groups. You can actually use those to create an audience. That's an existing audience. They're already your supporters. You can start putting there saying, hey, I've started this new business, and really put yourself out there. So there are a lot of tools that you can use today that actually allow you to do many things. One tool that I really like is Upwork. I don't know if you all have heard of Upwork, but Upwork is basically it's a place where you can find remote work and remote workers. So for example, let's say my business, I need somebody who needs to, make an Excel sheet with 1,000 rows, and I don't know how to do it. As an example, I can go on Upwork and look for an Excel expert, and they would have listed their name, their expertise, and how much they charge per hour. Similarly, if you have a skill that you can give, you can actually upload your skill over there. So your skill could be anything. Your skill could be you're a great editor. Your skill could be that you can read really fast. Or your skill could be that you make very good designs, right, on AutoCAD. So you can actually just upload your profile there, you get approved, and then you start getting sort of job offers. And the job offer doesn't mean a full-time job, but it could be like a 10-hour job or 15-hour. It's like a project-based thing. I find Upwork very, very helpful when I'm running a business, but Upwork in general has helped find a lot of people, a lot of sort of gig work. And you keep hearing this word gig work, like being an Uber driver is a gig work, Being on Upwork is gig work. Fiverr is another one which allows people to upload designs as an example. So these are just some examples of tools that are at your disposal today, not just for influencers and people who are tech savvy. All of us can figure out how to use these tools and train ourselves in getting there. And one example I want to give is of Divya on the right. She's actually a doctor, and she found GetSetUp, and she's also a certified yoga teacher, and she didn't know how to use Zoom. And we taught her how to use Zoom, and now I think she's done thousands of classes. She teaches, thousands of people yoga via Zoom. But she would have never found that had she not upskilled herself, where she spent 10 hours learning how to use a computer, learning how to use Zoom, and finding another application for what she's actually really passionate about. Last, I just want to share an example of something that we did at GetSetUp. It's like a case study, but I'll sort of run through it really quickly. But we actually ran, all of us have seen Shark Tank, right? And when we see Shark Tank, we think, oh, I have this idea, I had this idea, I didn't do it. It's actually become a lot easier these days to convert your passion into something that you can monetize. We ran Startup Accelerator and we got 400 applications from all over India. I want to share one example. We had a grandmother who was in her 80s and she was making a special type of like amla jam. And she actually got in sort of, her grandkid involved. They came up with labeling, branding, Instagram, everything, and they applied to the accelerator, right? To say like, hey, if I get money, I can sort of scale this business. So anyone can actually sort of start something if you're passionate about it. Bharti, she sort of started her son lives in the US and she wanted to start an instant mix sort of, so you can make upma instantly and things like that. And she won it, and she basically set up a small factory unit where she's now developing, recipes which can easily be sort of dried and packaged. These are just some examples of skills that you need to use to launch your own business. I'm just going to leave them here. I won't walk through them, but it includes everything from computer skills, marketing and distribution, what digital skills you need to learn, and also systems learning. There's a lot of like, when the business starts taking off and revenue starts taking off and you have to hire a team, what are the things that you need to do to sort of set up your own business? Another example of distribution, right? Once you figure out what product you want to build, again, this is Bharti, and they actually set up a sort of stall at a senior fair where they're actually selling their goods. I want to share two more examples. On the left is Radha. She's actually a homemaker, but she was forced to create sort of gluten-free recipes for her children. And then, sort of she just decided to start a business where she does gluten-free food delivery, which has its own market, and she's doing really well now. On the right is Padma. She used to work in a corporate job at, Indian Overseas Bank, been a banker her whole life. And now she actually runs a training academy for counselors. So she has her own academy that she runs in Bangalore and regularly hosts sort of workshops for children. But very different, from what she's done before, and it's very possible. That's it from me. I'm sort of, wrapping up here just to give some time for questions as well. If you want to reach out, this is just the website and phone number. If you ever want to reach out to GetSetUp, more than happy to take any questions now.
Yeah, so before we go on to questions, we have quite a few questions in the Q&A section. I would like to throw at you, the last poll of this session, which is like a takeaway also. Would you want to start something of your own? And can the Outlook team please display the poll on the screen? So we'll give you 30 seconds to 1 minute like last time, and then we'll showcase the results. I'll announce the results. Okay, 92% are saying yes. So they will definitely, your session has made a lot of impact, and or maybe people were already thinking on these lines that it is good to start something of your own. And like Deval's session has, elaborated that you can actually, use your skill, your interest, your passion to kind of monetize it after retirement if you really want to do. Because one of the questions that I see here says that retirement is a time where which should be tension tension free. So why pursue work? So I think part of the answer Deval has already given during the presentation. But Deval, if you want to take this question, it's from Arun Gankar.
Yeah, so like I said, right, I don't think, like I said, we all work in our 20s and 30s, dreaming of that day that we are retiring, sitting on a beach, doing whatever, right? I don't think you really need to, and that's what I was trying to highlight, that you don't need to work for work's sake. If you don't need to work, that's great. If you don't need to work for financial reasons, that's great. But what I mean by work is having something to do every day. Now, it could be that if you're not interested in a traditional job, you can actually go volunteer your time, right? Work with a charitable organization based on sort of your likes and dislikes. You could get involved in any civic activities. I see a lot of older adults getting involved in their building community or their, management committee and things like that. Anything that gives you a sense of purpose, because it's not about work for work's sake, or you're right, if it stresses you out, why do it? But it could be something that it's actually fun for you, right? And it also gives you, like I said, gives you a sense of purpose. It helps you meet new people, and it will keep you going for longer. But if you just sit at home and you think, maybe watching TV or just doing nothing is going to sort of help, for some people that is, just reading a book could be it, right? But for a lot of us, actually, if you read any studies, it will always say that, loneliness is actually one of the first things that creeps in once you retire, and that takes a toll on your mental health. And so to avoid that, I would say get out there. It doesn't mean you need to work in a traditional job. It can be many of the things that I highlighted.
Right. So another question, in fact, two questions are related to GetSetUp Deval. And they're basically asking, Mahesh Kumawat is asking that how do I run my business and how do you help? And there is an anonymous attendee who is saying that what kind of training or resources can they get at GetSetUp?
Yeah, so I'll try to club the two questions. I think if you're looking to start a business, you can easily reach out to us. I'm Deval at getsetup.io. Reach out to us and we'll help you figure it out. I think in terms of training and resources, so we didn't actually start off thinking we will train people on starting new businesses. We train people on all skills. So we have a repertoire of a lot of tech classes that we teach. So you may be very savvy with Microsoft and you don't need to learn Excel and Word, but let's say you need to learn Instagram or marketing or Facebook marketing. You can actually find those classes on our platform and sign up for those. So you can pick what is relevant. We also have a startup module like end to end, which covers all the tools that I discussed. So you can actually also sign up for that. We did run an accelerator in the past. We are planning to run one in the future. So you can always look out for that and participate in that if you're interested in pitching your business.
Okay, so a lot of questions here is also about, financial planning and investment planning. I just want to clarify here that this workshop is a series. We have one every month as of now. And last month we had one on retirement calculation. This one is on, work after retirement and monetizing it. And we'll be, teasing out and telling you the topics that we'll take up in our future sessions. So I would request all of you to keep attending, keep an eye on what we are doing to get the answers that you really need. But I'll take the last question for this session. This gentleman called Harish Deval, it is for you. Does GetSetUp has any community of retired people who can share with like-minded people their thoughts with like-minded people? So before Deval starts on it, I just want to add here that, GetSetUp, at GetSetUp, you will get videos where you will get testimonials. Even at Outlook Money in the coming issue, we have real stories of people who have kind of redefined their life after retirement, either because they ran short of money. Many of them didn't run short of money, but they just did it to get a sense of fulfillment, to keep themselves engaged even in their retirement years. So a lot of a lot of stuff is available there where you can really connect to people and talk about them. Deval, would you like to take this?
Yeah,
question.
yeah. So actually, GetSetUp is a sort of peer-to-peer community where we do which are like our classes are taught by peers. So everybody that I mentioned earlier in the slides, they all actually teach on the platform. They become sort of your inspiration source as well. You can connect with others. We do travel also, so you meet like-minded people. You all can take classes together. You all can travel together. A lot of our members have started businesses together. Sometimes they travel to showcase their businesses together as well. You can actually, we have an app which you can download from the Android store. So you can download the app and discover different communities. We also have communities in cities. So if you're based in a particular city, you can find other like-minded individuals in those cities as well. And to Nidhi's point, I think, and overall, like I think Outlook Money is doing a great job on retirement planning and calculator and stuff like that. Finance is a very big topic, and like somebody mentioned, why should I work? I don't want tension. I think if you do financial planning right, you don't actually have to work. That's the best part. But that's a topic for another day. So this is more for, finding like it could doesn't, like I said, doesn't have to be a monetizable thing. It could just be something that brings you joy for doing it for volunteers' sake.
Absolutely. So that brings us to the end of this session, which was more about not just about monetizing your work after retirement, but also how to find fulfillment with what you do. And sincere thanks from Outlook Money to Deval from GetSetUp for hosting this workshop with us. And to our viewers, there was this question of participation. So Outlook Money hosts this event called 40 After 40, and this time it's happening twice in this year on 4th and 5th October in Delhi and February 6th and 7th, 2025 in Mumbai, where you can come, participate, interact with others of your age or even younger people who will come and discover what they can do for their retirement early on so that they're secure in their later years. So I hope to see most of you at the event and hope to see you joining this workshop series as we come up with more topics on finances, on aging, on health, and various other topics that pertains to your retirement. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nidhi.